Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are going to do the lab, which is 2.2.11 lab, which say choose and install a motherboard. Here is the scenario. You work at a computer repair store. You are in the process of building a new computer system. The customer wants a motherboard with the following feature. As you see, there's different requests that was listed down here. The first one is 16 PCI M.2 storage support for 64-bit processor, dual channel memory support for up to 64 gigabyte of memory. That is the specification which we have. And say in this lab, your task is to select and install a motherboard that meet the scenario requirement, which means what's supposed to be fulfill the customer requirement that was being listed up here. After that, we supposed to be connect all the following components that have been listed. Finally, we have to connect the CPU power and the main motherboard power. So why I really want to make sure you guys pay attention to this lab is because since we are talking about the motherboard is the heart of computer. While we call the CPU as the computer brain, motherboard could be the heart. Because if there's no motherboard, there's no way that the computer can be functioning. So because of that, you really need to know why we need to select the specific type of motherboard, which part of the motherboard that we can able to connect all this stuff together, and if depend on the requirement of the motherboard, that is also what determine if your computer is powerful or not. Because of that, that's why the customer decide the specification that they already put in place, and then we have to go through the motherboard that are available, and then to make sure which one is the right one to pick. So let's start with the motherboard under inventory. As you see right here, there are different type of motherboard listed down here. So what we can do is we can quickly go through and see which one have like at least two of these features available to go through. So let's start with the last one. So the way you can able to read is you can select that feature at I, which is information. So we can quickly go through here. So you have to make sure you are maximize this, and you can easily go through because you can physically see what it look like, what is listed down here, what the feature down here. And as you see down here, there's the different section of motherboard. But what we are looking for is if we have any one of this. Mostly what I really want to make sure if there's 16i, PI, that's the first thing I want to make sure we have that in place. We go through down here. This is where the peripheral component interconnect. That's where the PCI. We have different version. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that clearly indicates that there's no 16 because we can decide there's no way that we can pick this one because if it doesn't have the 16 feature, how we can able to use that. So hopefully this is enough to decide that we can move on the second one. So we do the same thing and make sure you are looking to what's going on down here. You can maximize as much as you can and look through here. And again, we have to look for the specification that's already listed down here. If one of these match, we can keep moving and to check with the other one. So the quick thing that I can able to compare again is the PCI Express 16 slot for board Intel platform, but there's the other 16 slot for SEMA card down here. But on top of that, what we have, what else? Because there's different specification that we have down here. Do we have any place for M2, M.2 that the space can able to install the hard drive to a different slot? Uh, so there is no such kind of thing. If you can even able to go down here and look for any specification, I haven't seen anything the other so there's not such kind of thing. So we can move on and hopefully, even though this is the last one, I still we have to check if it's what if it, none of this one is not really actually what we're looking for. So we have to make sure we have the right thing to look for. All right, so let's see. The first thing what I want to look for. So we already have CPU optional, and M2. That is great because that's one of the requirements that we are looking for, and also different place for M2 socket. Then we keep going, especially for the PCI Express 16, we have that one as well. And also look for more specification down here. A different type of recommendation. So as you see the 12 channel of different memory as we already able to see down here. That's another memory. So at least we can believe that this would be the right type of memory. I mean, the type of motherboard that we can able to use. So after we decide the right motherboard, what we are going to do is select and install the motherboard that meets the scenario requirements. So we're gonna start with this part. We have to back to the computer and then make sure we are going to the motherboard. That's the way we can able to see inside the computer. So if you turn it out and it looks like completely empty computer, so there's nothing in there. So the first thing we have to do is, as name says right here, select and install the motherboard that fit the requirement. So we have to grab this one. That's what we have. And then we just left inside there. So once we got in there, hopefully that's the right one. So we have that there. What is next is, so select and then install the requirement. So after that, we have to connect down here. What listed down here? So how we know that what we're going to connect to this part. So what we're supposed to do is first we have to click back to motherboard and then select the information. As we already checked before, if we go back here, we see that there's different information at different level. So what we can decide from what we already have down there is that we have different number, like the number which is listed down here. So the only way that you know like exactly how to connect what is listed down here is you have to go through, scan through the number. The number, what is listed down here is actually this number which is already given to the the motherboard. So these numbers match the information that given down here. So if you see down here, which is right here, as you see all this area that we have seen down here, it's a number, the power is switch. So this is the power switch. There's different thing in here. We saw that number 13 is the system panel connector, which can 23 pin panel C diagram below. So which diagram below we have is there's the different diagram down here. So as you see right here, this is the panel. What we have, as you see, where we can able to connect the stuff and where we cannot able to connect the stuff. So the power switch, the power switch is right here. So it could be like one of these power. That is most probably one of this area. So since we cannot able to clearly see what's going on down here, so what we have to do is we have to go back to the motherboard, and I think we can maximize things, keep going to make sure that we can able to see how the connector look like, what the connector look like, as you see down here. So in order to get the information to connect here, so right now we are just plugged into, we are click on the motherboard and all the information is displayed for motherboard. So you have to make sure you click outside and then everything is selected on the case, and all information that you need is not listed under inventory, but when you click over here, you can see different type of connector that's supposed to be connected. So the first one that we are looking for is power switch. So the power switch is, again, what is listed down here. So it's one of this. As you see, there's the different piece of information down here. So we are looking for the power switch is right here. So I can grab and connect that one of that down here. So and I want to a little bit bigger of this one because it's take time. So it seems like we able to connect that there. So we'll see if that is working fine. So the second one is power LD 13 pin which will be go the same place because we have different connection down here. So the power LD, I think that's the only one up there. So the power LD, so I want to see if we can able to connect that down here. So all right, so this one is the toughest and kind of complex. So as you guys see down here, I connect four different type of connector down here. So the first, I decided to start first with speaker and follow up with the power switch, and then the hard hard drive. Finally, I put the power down there. Where I got this idea from, so from the document, when we read the document, I able to track down this structure. So like this, where, what supposed to be go where and where, and then there's a lot of information down here. So as you see, this is speaker, which is the ground, but this is more specific information. But even at least the location where it's supposed to be go. So this is what guide me kind of. So I want to make sure that you guys understand how we able to get that document. So if you click back on monitor, I mean motherboard, you can able to see that information down here, the one I just talked about. So that will tell you where this information is supposed to be go. And but we are very much done with this part so far. So what we left with the van front and the van rear. So I can lower down this one now to make sure hopefully I can able to see up there what's inside here. So if I to make sure you guys are easy to see, that's what I pull it up like here, like for maximizing. So maybe it's really hard for us, I think. So as you see this, the van somewhere down here, slow, and there is another way of connection. So this is van one and van two. So you get able to see that if you actually reading, I mean, like you open this motherboard, you can able to read a lot of stuff, but this one is a little bit harder to read. So we can connect one here and the other one down here. So that will be uh, help to finish this part. So what we're gonna do, again, we have to click outside and then we'll look for the van and both the same. So there's no one is go there and one is to go the other way. So I think we just have to make sure where this says van and then that one is connected. And then also we have to come down here where it says van. So we have to connect that as well. So the other part is USB black cable. That's another thing that we have to connect, which supposed to be go down here somewhere. So if we go back quickly to the motherboard one more time, I can pull up the number because if you go back to the number and quickly look over, it's down here what you see number 14. And if you go back and read number 14, what it's a USB 2 dot connector. That's how you do like, okay, so let's go there. So it will take time, but it's really good to read that information and to understand exactly what you are working on. So hopefully it will be one of this, and if we connect that, that will be work. So let's see, we connect this, and if okay, actually that is work. And the other one is the audio panel. So the audio panel is should be somewhere down here. So like this is the audio, so we can the audio panel. Second, let me check. The audio panel is actually we can maybe check that one quickly from the number again, because that will be give us the clear indication of what's going on instead of we just guess what actually you have to drag down and then just click somewhere that we can do. So the audio panel, so everything is the output panel is down here. So I think number 18 should be the right thing. Let's see what's in the front panel audio controller. That is something that you have to know, and also to make sure we know what's going on. The USB 3.9 is another thing that we are going to do. So hopefully we go the same place. That's something that we have to know. So that is why you need to read the documentation that have been given. So if you don't really know what's going on and if you don't really read it, that's hard to do it. So that's where it's supposed to be go. And the USB that, so this is the one, and then we have to plug that one somewhere down there. Let's go right there. And then finally, we have to connect the CPU power. So the CPU power is like we have to look for the, again, the number, and we can, of course, the CPU is right here, but mostly as you see right here, so this is where the CPU is. So this is the CPU, the word the CPU is right there, even though the CPU is right here, so the power should be come over there. So we have to go back here and see what is not connected yet, and then we have to grab that. So actually where we got that from is we have to click over here. So we have to click on this one. And the first thing that we need to do is the CPU power. So let's look for the CPU power. So this is the one. So we have to grab that and then connect that to here. That is the CPU power, which is supplied. The CPU power that comes from the power supply. Finally, we have to the motherboard power. So we have to grab that and then we have to plug that to here. That's very much where exactly we're supposed to be plugged to. Finally, what I want to show you guys is to let's go get out of this and to make sure that we are go back to it has to be minus this, and we can go back to the back side of the computer. So very much the panel, especially the one we was working on at the beginning, everything is down here. Most of the PCI part that we was connected was down here. So that what the computer looked like from outside, but when we get into the motherboard, that's what exactly it looked like. I think this concludes this lab, but let's check with this core mark, and that's how we know that we are doing the right thing. All right, so as you guys see, we are scoring 100%. So that is a little bit quite challenging to see exactly what they part, but it's really good information that you can take time and do it and figure it out and learn a lot of the inside part of the computer. Thank you.